Wow, what we have here is the Russian attack helicopter Mi-28, which was hit by the rocket artillery system called HIMARS, and as you can see, the helicopter was hit in many of the areas. The cockpit, this is the armor part by the way, and lots of the small holes are there in this helicopter, so it's completely no-go. Ukraine used the HIMARS artillery system, I guess, the last week, and I showed you before that 4 of the Russian helicopters were hit. Yes, the shells went very close to the helicopters, but it was enough to totally disable those. So it's absolutely, those helicopters will be just scrapped. It's absolute no-go for them. At first we had the information that those were K-52 helicopters plus Mi-8, but de facto we see that those are Mi-28, which are more sophisticated and more, oh, hello doggy, and more expensive compared to K-52. Awesome. And this is the Russian transport helicopter Mi-8, which was hit again by HIMARS, lots of the shrapnel all around, so we have this image which Russians filmed in Belgorod Oblast. So luckily there is internet, someone shared this information online, and you can see the damages down to the construction. Oh, the aft part of this heli is totally gone, as you can see. Yeah, it's absolutely ruined. But even if we go back to Mi-28, you may see lots of the small holes in the engine compartment. It means that those engines are totally ruined from inside. So helicopters, they are not tanks, and some of the shrapnel is enough to disable those. Well, what can I say? Great news for Ukraine and for Ukrainian defenders. And we have one more unique image from Crimea. There Ukraine uses some of the drones which it launches from the drone boats. Let's watch it. So it could be FPV, and you see missiles coming from the Russian Panzer 1S. It is missing more. Probably it was hit, but anyways, you can see one more drone, and the Russian boat is over here. The drone is chasing it. Again, Russians are trying to aim the drone unsuccessfully. One more boat and one more drone, and probably this boat was hit or something. It's hard to really understand what is happening and whether the boat was hit, definitely, but here is some of the rudder, which was at least damaged. So with this new tactics, Ukraine is very successful in Crimea. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go. Now let's move closer to the front lines. This is the village of Davydov, and Russians tried to reach it and they partially took it under control, while Ukraine used some of the MiG-29s to hit this facility, and as you see, Ukraine was definitely successful. As I've told you many of the times, Ukraine is way more effective in aviation use compared to several months ago. Now Ukraine is really active. And this is Donetsk region, BMP-2 of the Russian army. 2 of the units, infantry, landed to the local tree line, but nevertheless Ukraine was really effective with FPV drones to hit those Russian vehicles. There are no more, and artillery was also in use against these tree lines, so you understand what usually happens with those Russian army advancements. The place is Burlatsky village, Donetsk Oblast, and definitely those are 2 BMP-2s. And by the way, the Russian infantry is no more over there, but I cannot show you those images. For full videos from the front lines, I use my Rumble and Telegram. Yeah, they have kind of the low censorship, so you may find me over there too. And by the way, I also post that stuff on Twitter. Let's watch this kaboom. It's just crazy. Wow. This is FAB 3000, which Russia used to open the way for the water to drown this road and to make it more difficult for Ukrainian army to advance in Belgorod region. Yes, Russia destroys their own dams in Belgorod. But Russia was unsuccessful with its attempt. A single FAB 3000 is not or was not enough to destroy the dam. Beavers are definitely in shock, but the water didn't go to this road, which is good. Ahmad Sila, or how do they usually say that? Well, Ahmad battalion appeared not far away from the front lines, which is crazy. This environment is kind of strange for them because usually they're far behind the front lines. Well, nevertheless, during the attempt to move to the front lines, they were stopped by the mines. And here in the video they complain about their losses, they also lost the vehicle and they're unable to move back, so they are forced to hide in the local tree line. Wow.
Если вдруг мы не дойдем, запись хотя бы будет.
If we wouldn't make it back, at least there is some of the recording. I still don't know who found this recording, Ukrainian side or the Russian one. Alright, it's the new know-how of the Russian army of how they try to save their supply lines from the Ukrainian FPV drone strikes. Basically, they put meshes on those wooden columns, and they think that it is enough, and definitely it could be effective in a way. Here they show how they work out there, putting those columns and later on those meshes. Yeah, more pictures here, but in a way they cannot protect everything, all of the roads and so on, and for how long they may put this mesh tunnel. So in a way it is far behind the front lines from what I understood, at least 5 up to 10 kilometers, maybe even 15 kilometers. It's hard to confirm and say, but they work here. It means that it is not such a big threat for them out there. By the way, my friends, if you want to support the job that I do here on YouTube almost daily, you're very welcome to my Patreon page. I'll put the link for it in the video description just below. Thank you so much for your awesome support of my motivation, especially when I have troubles here with YouTube monetization. Guys, about the front lines, it's more or less standstill for the last couple of days. While Russia advanced towards Ruzzia village, Ukraine tries to regain the territory, from what I understood, using remote devices like FPV drones and artillery. But Russians went here, and we may check out the location. Maybe they put even their flag there, or maybe they were just spotted. It's really hard to tell, but here we have the Russian flag in Ruzzia, Donetsk Oblast, so the flag was spotted. At least we have the expert information about it. Here, before even Russia tried to attack Ukrainian positions and was not successful. Here, mutual losses not far away from Pokrovsk, but Ukraine is more successful in this northern part. In Toretsk, everything more or less stands still. Ukraine uses many of the drones here in the settlement itself, but Ukraine had losses in Chasiv Yar. 1, 2, 3, 4 of the vehicles. Let's cross-check it. Yeah, I guess it's M113. It was stopped by a reservoir and finished by FPV drones. I hope that crew evacuated. At least I don't see anyone nearby, near the vehicle. The Deep State military map update also gives us just minor changes, so they do not worth even discussing. And Ukraine still keeps its presence in the Kursk region as well as in Belgorod region. There was the information shared today by some of the Ukrainian officials that Russia is planning for the massive strike on the Ukraine, and it might happen even in April. They say about some new directions, probably Chernigiv, Sumy regions, but we'll see, my friends. Now it's hard to tell about the Russian plans for the future, because we see that they're not that effective as they used to be in the eastern front lines, and also in Kursk region, by the way, because Ukraine, as I say to you, is still out there in Kursk. Well, I guess if Russia attacks Sumy or Chernigiv, it would be a very, very stupid move from their side, because Ukraine was preparing some of the defense lines in that area, and it wouldn't be the same scenario as it was for Russia in February 2022. Then they went to Ukraine and took all of those territories for quite a while. And by the way, today is the day of the liberation of the Kiev Oblast. Yes, it happened 3 years ago. It seems like it happened a long time ago. Those 3 years were really in reach of events, and Russia left Kiev Oblast just because their forces were under the threat of being encircled here, because Ukraine has prepared 3 big army groups and Russians went under fire, especially not far away from Makariv in this area, and they started the withdrawal of the forces. Because of that, it was the first time that we heard about the goodwill gesture, the saying which is now iconic for the Russian army, because later on they did the same goodwill gesture elsewhere in Kharkiv region, in Sumy, Chernigiv, and also in Kherson. So is Russia winning really in Ukraine? No. The Telegraph says that Trump's Easter ceasefire in Ukraine won't happen. White House admits. Moreover, Ruzzia, in his dialogue with some of the officials of the Baltic countries, admitted that United States are out of the tools to act on Russia to force them for the ceasefire. So there will be no ceasefire implemented, not just till Easter, but in general, guys. For this year, at least, there will be fighting on the front lines, and Russia continue to launch their drones and missiles to hit Ukraine. So today they renewed the strikes on Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. For example, a couple of hours ago there was the attack on Kryvyi Rih, and there were some of the casualties among Ukrainian civilians. It is very, very bad of what is happening. Yeah, ceasefire actually is profitable for Ukrainian army because in general Ukrainian army has less resources compared to the Russian one, so it's important to save the lives of our defenders. So ceasefire is the good option for Ukraine. That's why Ukraine is actually ready for ceasefire. Like Zelensky said, okay, 30 days with a possible extension, we are ready for it, we agree. And now let's ask Russia if they agree. But Russia came out with their demands. It's complete nonsense, guys. They're looking for excuse to continue the war because Russia wants to occupy Ukraine with whatever means they have. And Putin, well, he lives in his own informational bubble. Probably he has the reports about successful Russian army elsewhere, and he doesn't understand that really Russia is in desperate. They are in lack of the army men, in lack of the proper supplies, armored vehicles, so it cannot continue for extended period of time without mobilization in Russia. But Putin orders to attack, and they attack with all of the forces they have. Alright, Donald Trump is up to announce a record tariffs on probably everyone around. As Bloomberg says, those tariffs will touch many of the countries and there will be hardest for the last century and might influence the global trade for the sum of $33 million. It is crazy, guys. Our economy just woke up from the COVID crisis and now we have new crisis artificially made by Donald Trump and his tariffs. Well, what can I say? Probably it's better to convert dollars into something real, like real estate, or at least something physical, because tomorrow then the markets are open, you'll see the huge dive of Dow Jones, S&P, or wherever stocks are there, so everything will go down dramatically, as well as the cryptocurrency, by the way, because in a way it is also connected to the stock market and to the moods out there, and we see how gold is reaching its record prices. So yeah, I honestly expect nothing good to the world economy, not just for the United States of America. And by doing so, like implementing the tariffs, the United States is just making itself more and more isolated, which is very profitable for countries like China. And the White House official page already tweeted, it's the Liberation Day in America, so applying those tariffs somehow will liberate America from everything, even from its own economy. Kirill Dmitriev, a negotiator from the Russian side, will visit United States of America for a meeting with Witkoff, and they will discuss the economic cooperation between the United States and Russia. Dmitriev, by the way, finished Harvard or something, so he is very professional and he knows English very well, and in a way he also responsible for the Russian economy, at least the part of it. Plus he is a close person to Putin, so especially for the visit, United States lifted the sanctions on this guy for him to obtain visa, and there will be some of the behind the curtain communication or negotiations between USA and Russia. I think it's not even about the war in Ukraine, it's about their cooperation or something, which by the way also depends on Ukraine, because for now Donald Trump wants to reach at least the ceasefire to continue business as usual with Russia, but Russia wants to continue business as usual already. They intend to do two of the things simultaneously, to continue the war and to trade with the United States of America, which will involve lifting the sanctions on many sectors of the Russian economy. So yeah, for Russia, this meeting is kind of profitable after all. More Trump news. Trump said to his circle that Elon Musk will leave the position very soon, in the coming weeks. So our guess that there are some of the clashes between Elon Musk and Donald Trump now has the confirmation, which is awesome. And I guess that MAGA's loss in Supreme Court nominee from Wisconsin played a great role. So pro-Democrat Mrs. Crawford was elected, despite huge funds spent by Elon Musk for the campaign of the conservative candidate and for openly bribing people with millions of dollars. And here I can see that Elon Musk was the biggest donator with almost $20 million. By the way, George Soros supported Democratic candidate with $2 million. So it means that Soros spent less money and was more effective than Elon Musk, actually 10 times more effective. It's just a joke here, guys, but yeah, definitely in America you can support campaign of even judges of the Supreme Court or nominees for that position. Well, luckily for us, now the majority goes for Democratic Party in general for the Supreme Court of the United States of America. That's why those elections were very important in Wisconsin. And by the way, I have one more YouTube channel for the trash content. I just film what I want to film aside of Ukrainian topic, but there I already said about the Wisconsin election results, so yeah, you may check it out as well as many other videos. Sometimes I also stream there. Yeah, Captain Danny, you may check it out in the video description, by the way. One more WikiLeaks scandal. It seems like the National Security Advisor Waltz used Gmail for communications with government officials. We have the report about it from the Washington Post. The information has been confirmed. And the part of those Gmail messages were shared through Signal Chat, a popular Signal chat that we all know about. So despite his professional experience, really, Waltz neglected some of the very easy steps to secure the information. But Trump already said that he forgives everyone and no secret information was leaked there, which is absolute nonsense. There was a very sensitive information which could lead even to the life losses of American soldiers, but, you know, politicians, they don't care. Oh, good news from the United Kingdom. They're looking to transfer 8 up to 10 helicopters of that type. This is the transport helicopter Puma HC-2. They were decommissioned from the Royal Air Force a few days ago, and probably after some minor maintenance, they'll go to Ukraine. Awesome! Because Ukraine needs helicopters. It's better, obviously, attack helicopters, but transport helicopters are also in use. Lavrov reports that Ukraine violates all of the energy ceasefire agreements by striking Russian facilities. Lavrov didn't say that Russia violated that at first, few minutes after the end of the conversation where Putin and Trump allegedly agreed on that ceasefire. Putin said later on that Russia used some of the air defense to shut down their own drones, but somehow the same night many of the Russian drones, like dozens, hit Ukrainian civilian and also energy infrastructure. But no, they blame just Ukraine. And Lavrov came out with some of the report to American side, and they will send it to Waltz, the National Security Advisor of the White House, for them to look at that. Well, what can I say? They're totally delusional. And there is one more sign that Russia is not going to stop. No. Well, kind of interesting news and also a little worrying about the future of the Middle East. It looks like Americans are concentrating their forces in the region. Lots of the forces. We're even speaking about strategic bombers, which are deployed in Diego Garcia military base in the Indian Ocean. Plus, many of the transport airplanes are transporting more military goods to Israel every day. Yeah, the Harry Truman air carrier group is in the Red Sea now and busy with Yemeni Houthis, but they're also very close to Iran. And those strategic bombers, it is not a very big deal for them to operate in this entire region from their base in Diego Garcia. It means that those hangars are not enough, and the United States is reaching the highest capability of the military base operation out there. For what reason? Well, we'll see in the coming weeks or maybe even days. We have the reports from many of the media sources that the United States military moves warplanes to reinforce Middle East, and it is happening very fast and on a large scale. Some unusual activity. And remember how a couple of days ago Donald Trump actually threatens Iranian side for them to sign some sort of the nuclear deal. Otherwise, he stated openly that the United States will bomb Iran, and definitely it could be a combined strike by Israel and the United States of America. At least they're doing everything for it. They're preparing for something really big. But you might also remember the previous crisis with North Korea and the United States of America. That happened during the first term of Donald Trump, where he threatens North Korea with everything. He really pushed Kim Jong-un, and after it, they met at the border between North Korea and South Korea. They were like friends. And it was definitely a diplomatic fiasco of the United States of America. Donald Trump didn't reach anything, and Kim Jong-un just continued his nuclear program. He is building missiles, capable missiles to reach allies of the United States, and some say even the United States itself. So maybe we're gonna witness the similar stuff with Iran, but the difference that United States is really preparing its military airplanes, bombs, and I have also signals from Israeli side that they're really handling lots of the new weaponry coming. For what? Well, this year will show. And Iran already complains to the United Nations about Trump's reckless, belligerent remarks about its nuclear program and threats directly to bomb Iran. And Daily Mail already says that Trump is about to bomb Iran in a few weeks together with Israel, but Daily Mail is Daily Mail. However, the probability of it is very, very high. Sometimes Twitter is hilarious. Idiocracy was documentary. Yeah, this photo went viral. I think it is Kid Rock or how we call him. But this guy for sure is not wearing a proper suit in the Oval Office. And breaking news, Russia somehow lost Tu-22 M3 strategic bomber. It crashed for whatever reason. Sometimes it happens. Well, I don't have extra details. The information just appeared online and I'll tell you more in tomorrow's video. And for now, my friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot, and I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.